For all of those who have joined us, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our session on digital and data. I'm not sure if everyone was able to listen to Alan Haig earlier when we were talking about, where he was talking about the future, and something he said that really rang true, that is the really a segment for this conversation, is he said, people don't drive by anymore, right? And so digital is absolutely essential in this day and age, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do, I'm Keith Nordin. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales for Work Truck Solutions. I'm honored to have you guys participating and working and listening to us. I'm going to ask each panelist to take just a minute and do a quick introduction. I'll start with Jim, Dan, and then we'll leave what many would say the best for last, Heather. So Jim, why don't you start and just give a quick introduction, and then we'll roll around the room and start our conversation.
Sounds great. Thanks, Keith. My name is Jim Jabaay. I'm the VP of Specialty Markets at SpinCar, focusing on our growth outside of automotive, particularly around commercial trucks, equipment, et cetera, and those verticals. So I've got a long history in the automotive industry. Grew up in a dealership outside of Chicago with the family, spent almost 9 years at Manheim, 2 years at DealerTrack, and 7 years at a company called Lot Vantage that does classified marketing. So really excited to be here and talk about this side of the world and the digital transformation that we've seen, and that's been expedited over the course of the last 12 months.
Yeah, my name is Dan Bryan. I'm with Ricart Business, our fleet and commercial business division in Columbus, Ohio. I've been with the dealership for 22 years. I've got a little bit different background because my background up until June of 2018 was all in service, and I was overseeing all of our service operations. And we invested into 116,000 square foot facility for sales, service, and wholesale parts that is my responsibility now. So like Jim, I'm excited to be here.
And Heather? You're muted, Heather.
There we go. My name's Heather Drayton. Been in the business about 16 years. Been with the Hendrick organization for about 2 of those. Been BDM for most of that. BDM, internet, marketing. Mark Williams is actually my commercial fleet manager. He is my guru in all things commercial. I just do everything he says when it comes to marketing and making sure that we are, of course, maximizing our opportunities. Pleasure, of course, being here, and look forward to answering any questions.
Don't let her.
Appreciate it.
Let me just insert. Don't let her kid you. Okay?
That's great. Well, listen, I think everyone can see that we have a good audience here. We also have a great panelist session. I think that we'll be able to really be able to have some good discussions here. I want to start off big, right? Let's start off with something that's pretty prevalent, and it's exactly what Alan was talking about earlier. You know, people just don't drive by anymore. So the importance of digital is critical. In our research here at our company, we've learned that 89% of commercial buyers start their buying process online. And so what I'm kind of curious about is, how do we make sure that those people are engaged once they have gotten their online presence through your website or through any website? And so, you know, I guess the question would be, you know, how do you ensure that you engage your buyers to keep them onto your website? Dan, I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on the first question, and then Heather and Jim, if you have any comments and additions, please feel free to just add flavor to the conversation. So Dan, why don't you start?
Thanks. So the interesting thing is, as I mentioned, my background is in fixed operations. So when I came into this world, we had 5 commercial sales guys. And so one of the first things that every one of them beat into me was that they needed inventory. And so I don't know if you heard any portion of the Charlie and my boss, Rick Hendrick, talking, but we really made the commitment from an inventory standpoint to get it on site. the greatest thing was I hired a guy that was from outside the car industry. He actually was a market manager for a restaurant chain. And so I was very fortunate to have a guy that had a marketing background. So when he came on board with me and quite frankly started leveraging all of the whether it was Work Truck Solutions and a couple other partners that we had to market our inventory, it's been really a journey from the beginning, because a lot of what it is that we did was new. It was new just for our dealership. I mean, we're a huge retailer from a new car standpoint, but from a commercial standpoint, we really had not a whole lot in place. We'll just leave it at that. So the things that we're doing now, as we made the commitment to have the inventory, because we actually have more commercial inventory than our retail side does right now. And so one of the commitments that I had to make to Rhett was to make sure that, one, we were selling it, number one, but the only way to sell it obviously was to really get it online. So the big thing is we spend a lot of time all day, every day, especially the guy that works for me, but we mystery shop ourselves, and we're checking to make sure that our pricing is right. We've got a minimum of 20 photos of every unit on our website. And we're getting ready to take a journey into another piece with actually with YouTube and creating YouTube channels to create content on the website with all of our inventory as well. So it is as the retail side has learned, we know there's so many of these customers anymore that aren't actually visiting the dealership. We got to make sure that we can tell our story online with, who we are and what we are. And obviously it starts with the photos of all of our inventory. So I would say the big thing for us was making sure that, we're consistent. Our goal is as soon as that vehicle hits the ground, we're trying to get good photos and soon to be video of every piece so that everybody can see it.
Heather, did you have anything to add, do you think, to that?
I was going to say a lot of things that we've been working on personally with our store is making the website cleaner, making it honestly simple. We've made it so that, hey, are you looking for a truck? Are you looking for low cab forward? Are you looking for a particular body? Giving the customer the opportunity to have that glance where they can honestly choose their shopping path on the website. We've kind of gone back and forth between adding upfit costs, not adding upfit costs. I think in the end, not adding it, yeah, it did cause opportunities. Did it cause the right opportunities? Probably not. So we switched to being more transparent with vehicles we have available, the upfits that come on them. One of the things we're personally struggling with, especially now, is we're selling a lot of in-transit units that don't have price line. How do you convey that to the customer and making sure that the customer understands, like, hey, this is not your typical 2500 with a standard body. It's going to have a Napa height or a wing body added to it. So we're right now, that's where me and Mark have recently talked about how do we make that easier for our customers? How do we show them what's coming, what is available, and again, what type of bodies that we have readily available to add to those vehicles if they choose that they like to go ahead and reserve them. So we're definitely in the pickle. Unfortunately, we don't have the inventory on the ground that we would like, but that doesn't stop us. We'll sell everything coming in until the factory runs dry.
I think that you said something in between. I'm going to let you mute because we're getting a little feedback on your side for some reason. But one of the things that we always try to share with our customers is exactly what you said. Make the website clean and easy, user-friendly, easily define the vehicle that they want. And then once they find that, do exactly what Dan was saying is, let's have as much data as possible, whether that's images, information on that specific vehicle to not only make it easy for them to find, but find the information that they want. Jim, I'm curious, have you been able to do anything on your side about helping in this type of perspective on buyers online?
Yeah, and to piggyback off of both what Heather and Dan had both said, while 89% of that shopping journey starts online, what and have seen is over the last 3 to 4 years, the typical consumer used to visit 4 to 5 dealerships before they made a purchase decision. Today, that average of number of dealerships that somebody decides to visit is 1.2. So your online presence now of the information you're able to give to the dealership, or give from your dealership to the customer, and educate them through that entire buying process, is very important. So your photography on your VDPs, the lift that we see the faster you can get to market, the faster things are turning. You need, I've always held true that there's three things that sell vehicles, right? Dan mentioned quite a few of them. It's price, photo, and description, right? And so we've now taken that next level of that at SpinCar with a 360 interaction, versus a photo interaction, but also having those hotspots to let the consumer drive their behavior on how they want to look at each vehicle. We see time spent on VDP almost doubling what that is of vehicles with just photography. So I think as you continue to progress, video, 360s, etc., it's really going to change. The transparency just needs to be there from the start. Because if you're not giving the customer the information, somebody else is going to, and that's where they're probably going to go do their business.
Heather, I'm going to come to you on the next question here. One of the things that, we're going to look into the future here into 2021. It's hard to believe we're already 2 months in, but what do you and your group specifically want to ensure your digital presence will be doing? What solutions do you think you want to use to ensure that the commercial sales is as successful and more successful in 2021? Any feedback on that? You're on. Yeah, there you go.
If I could help with the static, unfortunately, I hear it on my side too, for everybody. I personally, we are trying to do just more. A lot of things that we have all in the retail side of the business that we've never really thought about for the commercial side. Me and Dan talking the other week. I feel like commercial has kind of been an afterthought when it comes to digital marketing. It's kind of been an afterthought for just branding and promotions. So personally, we want to get more into that Facebook market. We want to get more into, like Dan mentioned, YouTube. We started to kind of dabble in that. But I think it's going to be progressively more important moving forward, to make sure that we're putting just as much emphasis and just as much digital ideas towards the commercial side of the business, not just the retail.
Excellent. I agree. Dan, any thoughts about that question as well? Anything that you're using, that you're doing to make sure that you get the buyer, once they're on your website, engaged with you?
I think, and this kind of ties back into the question, the prior question. I think the big thing with all of this, and I feel like more of a beginner every day as I learn more and I read more and try to understand, because like I said, for 19 and a half years of my career, at the dealership was in fixed ops. So a lot of the stuff I don't understand, or I didn't understand, as I begin to understand it more. I think the imperative thing is I believe somebody told me the terms digital dust. And I think for so much of what it is that we do, we can't set it and forget it. And so all of the things, whatever it is that you try, and I think this is where, good partnerships, whether it's, with Jim at SpinCar, or, some of the customer, the partnerships that we have with some of our marketing partners, is that making sure that, you're getting good information, junk in, junk out. And, one of the things that I look at every morning is our Google Analytics, just to look at, the time on our site, where we're seeing our customers coming from, what platform they're using. I mean, amazingly, 57% of our customers are using a mobile device, which is amazing to me. The other thing that is amazing to me to see is that, the majority of our traffic is happening between 4 and 9 o'clock every day. The other thing that's amazing to me is on Mondays. And so looking at the Google Analytics information that's out there, and I think that it's all, you can get lost in all the information, but I think there's some key points that whatever it is that you use, you have to, you've got to focus on those and make sure that you're paying attention to them. That's why I'm very fortunate to have someone, that works for me. They, on a monthly basis, we're looking at on the retail side, I mean, they look at dollars spent, per retailed vehicle. And so when I look at what it is that we do, I mean, I'm amazed at the return we get, or what we spend to sell a truck. And so regardless of whatever it is that you do, I think it's imperative that, you partner with someone that you can trust and that you're getting good information to make decisions on going forward.
Excellent feedback. It's interesting too that, you said something, don't set it and forget it. That's, we live in a dynamic world. And one thing I think we would all agree with, especially in commercial, we're getting the new, the new younger generations that are coming up, and they grew up on knowing to get what they wanted when they wanted immediately, and to be able to make that dynamic response in your digital presence is absolutely essential. So good stuff, Dan. Jim, did you want to comment on anything on that?
The key is to continue to be open to for new things. Dan made some great points about looking at your Google Analytics. I think that's an under leveraged thing by a lot of dealerships today on what the impact and power of all those things that can happen with that. There's always going to be something new that comes into it. It's worth exploring as you go through it, right? I mean, you've seen some of the big changes from Google My Business and other aspects as well that have happened over the last 6 to 8 months. So keep your eye on that. Think of your consumer as an online buyer first. They're less apt to want to walk into a dealership. And how do you make sure that the one dealership they choose to walk into is your store?
Since we've been talking a little bit about Google Analytics, I'd like to kind of focus on that for a minute here. One of the things that even Dan and Jim just stated is how important it is to be able to look at the analytics. Who is visiting your site? When are they visiting your site? How long are they staying on your site, and things like that. And that's one thing that analytics and reporting will allow you to do, and to be able to see. In fact, it's so important for us, even as an organization, that we've created a special package just for that, for our dealers to be able to access. So I'm curious, and Heather, I may let you kind of step up here and talk a little bit about how do you see the buyer activity when you're looking at Google Analytics or GA. How do you see that as influencing what you're doing as an organization, whether that means through changing what your website says, what it does, whether it's inventory? What effects do you see Google Analytics affecting your group?
Yep. And I'll be honest, I know this is a Work Truck Solutions Summit, and I'm not trying to, give you guys kudos, but, you guys have really made a difference for us personally, because again, it wasn't a humongous focus. And a lot of times, like, our website is retail focused. And a lot of the commercial stuff was honestly getting almost hidden, or you couldn't really dissect what was commercial based, what was really retail based, until we kind of really migrated to Work Truck Solutions. And everything that we have on our retail side, if a customer is looking at a commercial vehicle, honestly, we have it all linked back to Work Truck Solutions, so that we can better build that content and better have a understanding. Yes, how long is customer spending on the website? Are they bouncing too quick? If they're bouncing too quick, then that means we may have a link problem, or, do we have content problem? Are we making it very user friendly? Because again, your business owners are a lot different than your retail guys. I hate to say it, retail customers have a little bit more time on their hands. Where your true business owners, they gotta, what do I need for my business? Who has it, and who has it that I can readily see who has it? And I think with the reporting that we now have with Work Truck Solutions, and being able to see that data and be able to see that cross traffic within other stores and other regions, has honestly been a big help to us. And I think Mark would agree with me on that. It's making a difference moving forward. Did it make a difference probably a year or two ago? Not as much. But now, again, because it's not just an afterthought, commercial's not an afterthought, Google Analytics moving forward is going to be a big push, especially in the digital world with more customers going digitally.
Absolutely right, Heather. Dan, how do you see it affecting your organization? I know you spoke a little bit about it, but any critical changes that you've made or anything that you've done or regarding inventory or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. Was I think I can't speak for the GM or the Ram dealers, but from everything that I'm hearing, we're all challenged with inventory right now, and I really think that whether some of the Bama pools and using, to me, it's first off, the information when I came to this division, it was baffling me. I feel like the commercial business has been 10 years behind the retail business for a long time, or since I've been over here. Well, anyways, it's amazing to me trying to find information and the amount of, Excel spreadsheets that I've built trying to analyze and find what it is that we've sold, which Work Truck Solutions, like Heather said, I don't mean to plug Work Truck Solutions, but there is a lot of information that's there that they give us to help manage the inventory. But it's great to know what you know what you're selling, but it's another thing to know what you're not selling. And I think in today's day and age, when I know Ford, when they announce the production times and, to get a Super Duty built was 24 to 26 weeks. And see the amount of time that it takes to get those trucks built. I think, the planning piece of what it is that you need, using any available information, any piece of data at all to plan the inventory. So when I think about, for example, we ordered our municipal spec trucks. We had them ordered for the year in January, because we knew the timeline, with our primary upfitter that we use to do the municipal spec trucks, we planned it out for the year. And so, with that example, I think knowing what people are searching for and the time of the year that they're searching for, and I was very fortunate to come into a department that had a lot of experience, a couple guys that had 20, 30 years experience. So, their gut feelings about, when something should sell, was amazing when I started going back through and looking, at some of the historical search data to try to plan for our inventory, how closely those guys were. But I think using that information to plan inventory when we're, 4 to 6 months, to get inventory, and has been a big part of the fact that we have a lot of inventory right now, and we were very fortunate to have that information to plan to make sure that we were ready for the spring and the summer for this lull in production.
So interesting, and I got to tell you, we hear just at the company here quite a bit of how Google Analytics are just reporting and understanding the buying behavior, both of the individual, but also the timing of when they're buying vehicles and things like that. It has really helped dealerships, quite frankly, in a lean inventory environment to be much more efficient, right? And that's absolutely critical when it comes to what the benefits are from any type of analytics situation that you can access that type of reporting and information. So, Jim, did you have anything that you would like to add to that as well?
No, I mean, I'm definitely not a Google Analytics expert. I wish I knew more about it, but encourage you to find those that are experts in it, because they can really help you in that aspect.
Well, and I appreciate that, because as Dan had said, we are, the commercial, and Heather mentioned it as well, the commercial has been lagging behind a little bit from a digital perspective, at least from the retail. And now that we're coming up, it's things like that, this type of stuff that's going to help commercial be even more profitable. It's arguable that it's the most profit grossing section of your dealership, right? And so if that's the case, you really need to spend some time, behind the scenes looking at the data to make sure your commercial business is continuing to be successful. I want to stop here for just a moment and let everyone know that if you do have any questions, to by all means include those in the chat session. We are watching that. And I've got people better than me doing that, so that they'll be able to help us with any answers that you may have to questions that you have. Okay. I'd like to switch just slightly. I'm curious, Jim, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat here. what are your, what changes do you see in the next year or two or in the future regarding digital marketing and data reporting in maybe in the commercial space specifically, but just in general, because it's obviously a big thing that's happening right now. Digital and data is, it is what it is, right? It's out there, and we need to be able to utilize it to the best of our ability. So if you could just kind of share what your thoughts and what you're maybe seeing in the market.
Absolutely. I think from our perspective and my beliefs around this is one of the most important things is ensure that all the information that the customer could want to get, they need to be able to find on your website. Because if you think of that shopping journey, I remembered I looked at this 2500 with a Knapheide upfit on the back of it, but I might not have remembered where I found it, right? So because I all of a sudden had to go learn something else later on. So I left your website and I went and Googled it, because that's what happens. But if I can give you all the information that a shopper is looking for when I visit your website, and I educate you on the front end, I think that's where you have the best level of success. They're not going to leave. You have a better chance of converting that customer when you give them all the information that they're looking to get, versus having that chance that the customer leaves and then they forgot where they saw it from. So, that's where I see a big part of the digital future is that personalization, that experience. We live in a world where on our cell phones, you got to make sure that it's very mobile ready and mobile friendly, and you can put the buyer in control, right? Put them in the driver's seat in their own shopping journey, because they're going to dictate the way they want to shop and when they want to come into your store, versus the way that we used to do it historically.
Dan, Heather, do you have any comments on that as well?
And Mark, we're just sitting there talking about, wanting to do a lot is building more content on our pages, so that customers do have that information more readily available at their fingertips, but through us, not necessarily having to go and find that information elsewhere. So we were just sitting here talking about that.
Yeah, that's so true. And we have a lot of dealers that are moving towards the click and buy, right? Even in the commercial space. We have a lot of dealerships that are starting to move towards that, everything from financing and things of that nature. And I saw you were about to say something and I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. I agree with both. I think everything, as we refer to it, as the Amazonification of everything. So I think the easier we can make it, I think it's a challenge. I mean, we've looked at the online buying piece of this. I think there is some challenges there on the commercial space for a couple of reasons. But I think the content that's on that site, I mean, as I talked about, we're making the transition to video for all of our inventory. And I think from a value standpoint, obviously we can spend a lot of money on paid searches, but we want to try to increase our organic presence and with the content that's actually in there on each one of those VDPs. So I think having as much information there as possible to make it as quick as possible, because I think everyone would agree the name of the game in the commercial side is speed, because time is money for these guys. And so if you've got an owner, the person in charge of, vehicle acquisition, any information, any and all information you can get to them on that VDP page and make it easy to do business with, the better off everyone's going to be.
I'm so glad you said that, Dan, because you're so right. We talked at the very beginning that people just don't drive by any longer. They come to your website, right? And being able to offer the same type of information as if they're touching the vehicle is absolutely essential. And so it takes, there's solutions out there. Obviously, we are one of those, but there's other solutions out there to make sure that once you've found a buyer that has an interest, once you're starting to engage them, that you're providing them the information as much as possible as if you're face-to-face with them. And Jim, I know you're not a bragger here, but SpinCar is one of those opportunities to be able to help engage them even more, let them see, what the solution, the vehicle looks like. So, all of that's so critical. Jim?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the one other to mention, It's important to, Dan had mentioned this earlier, mystery shopping, but it's also important to mystery shop yourself, right? We all like to have a buying experience that's personalized, but let's make sure we're communicating with our customers in the way they want to get communicated with. I think there's probably nothing that's more frustrating if we really step back and think of it, that if I start with a chat and that's the way I've chosen to communicate with you, or text messaging, don't try to change it to a phone call. Let the buyer control the way they want to go. I think we try to get into a mentality that we want to get everybody on the phone, get them on the phone. But the way we are buying things has completely changed, right? Dan mentioned the Amazon of that's happened in this world, and so that's the way we want to shop. We want to be able to shop at our own leisure, talk when we want to talk. 4 to 9 o'clock is the busiest time, as you mentioned as well. Be ready to respond to those people and respond quickly and the way they want to communicate. Keith, you're on mute.
Said, Dan, I loved your comment about Amazonification of everything, right? I didn't want to say that because I really stumble over that word and saying it correctly. It's hard for me to say, but you're right, and I think the past year has really just amplified and ratcheted it up significantly on how much sooner it is that we really have to be able to in front of our buyers and presenting them that information in an easy buying process. I've heard folks call it, everything from interest to engagement to buy. And to be able to do that as effectively and efficiently as possible is absolutely essential here. So I'm going to
I can add something to that, Keith. I think the other thing is truthful, especially with the commercial buyer. Obviously, the retail buyer, that's a big deal. But, that's one of the things in making the transition from fixed ops into the sales side of this business. The thing that I love about it is I feel like it's still a handshake business. And I think, when you look at the website and the content that's on the website, and, to me, you can't play games. And so whatever information is on there has got to be real, or you will have some problems, I guess.
You could not have said it better. Accuracy is absolutely critical. And I love what you said. It's a handshake business still, right? The people expect honesty, truthfulness, and whether that's in person or online, engaging them, that person, honesty and integrity is absolutely critical. Listen, we got a few more minutes here. I'm going to ask one last question. And I see some people talking, I'm asking some questions, so I'll ask those here shortly. But, I'm curious, and Dan, I'll let you, since I started with you, I'll let you finish it on this one here. One of the questions that we often receive here at our organization is that customers also are interesting about the pricing. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the earlier questions, but I'm curious, how does your pricing on the website that you present to buyers, how is that affected by a lot of the digital free-flowing information that's out there, especially even with your competitors? How do you talk with me how you deal with that?
I think the first thing before I say that, I see in one of the chats somebody asked about upfront pricing versus call for pricing.
Yes.
For my 2.5 years on the sales side of this, I believe that the call for pricing is a thing of the past. I think we've got to be upfront, especially with the commercial side, because time is money. And the more you jack somebody around with, call for pricing, and so we believe we price that vehicle. So to answer your question, I think there's tools out there. In my previous life, I was involved with our used car reconditioning, and we retail anywhere from 600 to 700 used cars a month. And so part of the reconditioning and the pricing process was using vAuto, and so looking at what market-based pricing, or using market-based pricing for the inventory. So I believe a lot in my guy that works for me, and I also, encourage all of our sales guys to see what's out there. So I think, what inventory is out there is a big part of what it is and how we're pricing. But I think going back to, and Jim, reiterated a minute ago, is mystery shopping and knowing what's out there and knowing what the competition's doing, and seeing what, the Ford vehicle locator tool is an example. I mean, I am on that every day, seeing what the market has to make sure that, we're maximizing our opportunities.
And I see, Cody, I'm going to call you out, even though you're not on the screen here. You mentioned that for you get better results for call for pricing when you tested this. And, I think that each dealership is unique. Some of them look at this as a better way to engage and get in front of the conversation with talking with them on the phone. So yeah, I think there's different venues there, but ultimately it is the honesty. Heather, did you have something? I noticed you had unmuted.
Yeah, because when he had made that comment about he tested it, he had better results. I agree. You probably had more people calling. You had more people inquiring. We're here to sell cars. I appreciate that we receive, but also appreciate the opportunity that's in a position to close. When you put the call for pricing on your other sites, your third-party sites, you drop to the last page, so you're not going to get any opportunities there. The only way you're going to get those call for pricing if the customer's coming directly to your website. And typically, if they're coming directly to your website, don't you want to have that information available to them? You want them to have that good experience. You want to have that upfront experience. At the end of the day, they're buying a vehicle. I think they should understand the cost of that. So I'm a big person on transparency and making it easy. I don't think a customer should have to click through in order to get more information. You should be able to just get that information readily available from us. And hopefully, because we do it that way, you'll choose to do business with us. I don't think we should make buying harder for a customer.
Yep. Any other comments on that before we move on? So I think that, it kind of goes back to what we said earlier, right, is make the experience as seamless and user-friendly as possible for a buyer. And hopefully that will absolutely be efficient for the buying process, which makes your customer happy. Listen, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left. I want to personally thank everyone who has attended here. I also wanted to say a special thanks to our panel. Each of you have been just absolutely extraordinary, and the time that you've taken to help us, help other dealers, quite frankly, and other folks that are in the digital kind of new world for some of them, and being able to answer some of these questions. I will say that if you're interested in reviewing this meeting afterwards, the session, and for that matter, any other session that has been part of our summit, that we're going to be leaving a link at our landing page of the CVB summit on that when you log on to and see where the different sessions and panelists are. By all means, feel free to register there, and you can have access once we know that they are posted. We'll email everyone and let them know that they're available. I appreciate everyone's time. Again, thank you. We're looking forward to a very successful year here. Everyone went through a pretty peculiar 2020. I think that 2021 is even going to be better, and hopefully less peculiar. And so if you have any questions, as I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. My contact information, it's not visible here, but it's pretty simple to access. And then, like I said, you'll have our sessions will be posted on our landing page for you to access for a later date. Folks, so we appreciate your time. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and thanks again for attending our summit, and we're looking forward to having more of these. All the best.
Thanks, Keith.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.